All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be getting into the lineup builder video here for you guys, covering all my favorite stacks. We're actually getting some pretty good game stacks here. Some of my favorite values, core plays, giving you guys kind of the last look build, as well as what the 9 to 5 lineup builder is telling us are the top builds as well. With that, let's go ahead and get into it. So right now, it does seem to me that Henderson is going to end up sitting for the Patriots. And if he does, I really like Stevenson still as a core play at 5.9. That does seem to be kind of an easy click. And then I've also kind of come around to Tracy once again being a core play for me. He gets a matchup against the Raiders that without Brock Bowers should really promote a run-heavy script for the Giants. Tracy is someone that got 65% of the snaps last week and kind of gets the third easiest matchup now on the slate going against the Raiders. And if you look at some of his prop lines, it all suggests that Tracy should end up having a pretty good game. And so I actually like the idea of going value running back and then maybe paying up for James Cook, Devon Achane, Barkley. Then we also have like Chase Brown in a very good spot as well. That actually brings me up into a good point here. We are getting a very solid game to game stack here, and that's the game between the Cardinals and the Bengals. And this is one where you could easily go Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. This is a game that has a 53.5 point total, but also it's a 7-point spread in favor of the Bengals. And so you could really do some game script builds based off this. So you go Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback. And I think you can even go Elijah Higgins as your tight end if you're trying to get value, if you're trying to get some low owned value as well. If we look at this, guys, Higgins isn't going to project all too well, but he does project to about 5.3 points, which is still not terrible. If we get that as a baseline, as a floor, we're okay with that. But this is really a matchup play, and it's a game total play, and a play in which they are 7-point dogs to the point where he might have to be on the field. He ended up playing about 70% of the routes last week, and I think that is something we could see again, that he's been a player that they've wanted to get involved, and now it's a lost season. Mine as well. And so I kind of think that's a sneaky way to stack. And you could even go Higgins and McBride and align them together where they're just really trying to go about attacking this matchup here with the Bengals. And we can see, guys, Higgins is less than 1% owned. Very decent leverage opportunity there in a game where people are going to be trying to target that game. Then that being said, sure, receiver-wise, I don't need to go crazy with any of these spots. Like definitely Chase is appealing. Higgins is appealing. Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., all very appealing. Marvin Harrison Jr. apparently more healthy in this game, and if he is, obviously we like him there as well. And then running back wise, I find it interesting that Michael Carter's getting a lot of love because I could see Amari DiMercado getting more involved and even Corey Connor getting more involved. But the top play is clearly going to be Chase Brown, who I think has a good chance to end up scoring a touchdown here. Projects for about 14 DFS points, which we would need more out of him. If he only gets that at this price tag, he's not going to get there. But that's a play that definitely correlates well with a game stack with Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback, because again, 7-point spread that promotes more of a run heavy script for the Bengals. And so lineup wise, we could really get away with playing like Higgins and again, McBride. I think that's a very unique way to get some action in on the slate, but then you would have to go up from Stevenson or Tracy if you guys are looking to do a full on game stack here. But I really don't mind that route. And then kind of another interesting game that could potentially end up being a little bit of a shootout as well. Second highest scoring game on the slate is Jacksonville versus Indianapolis, geez. Running back wise, I don't hate the idea of getting to Travis Etienne with Bashaw Tutin still out. We expect him to get a decent workload, about 60% of the snaps, and it is a pretty solid matchup there against the Colts, but it's a better matchup for all the receivers in this game. So the Jaguars give up a lot of receptions to opposing receivers to the point where I'm looking at Josh Downs at 4.2. He's had a very solid floor now with Phillip Rivers as his quarterback. I kind of think Josh Downs, if he's still going to play 72 or 78% of the snaps like he did in the first 2 games with Phillip Rivers as his quarterback, he's going to have a pretty high floor like we have seen him have the first 2 weeks. And this is a much more easy matchup. Okay, guys, the Jaguars have given up the second most receptions to opposing receivers over the past 4 weeks. And so Josh Downs to me is a very incredible cheap play for us. That being said, I think we can make a case for Parker Washington to be a great play. The Colts have given up the most receiving yards over the past 4 weeks, or like second most receiving yards to opposing receivers. So very appealing matchup. Parker Washington went off in the last game, had the most air yards as well. I don't dislike him. I like Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas Jr. We want to begin some action on this game and in this spot. I actually don't mind the idea of setting a rule that says I want exactly or at least one of, and then we could do Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, or Brian Thomas Jr. in all of our builds. I actually think that ends up being a decent route to go. And maybe not all of our builds, but like maybe we do like 45% of our builds. Like, I think that's a decent way to go about attacking this slate. Tight end wise, Tyler Warren's not in a terrible spot, nor is Brenton Strange, but I don't think we necessarily will need to get down that low. So from there, guys, let's just go ahead and talk about kind of the rest of the plays that I do end up liking on this slate. Quarterback wise, you can pay it for Drake May. I just don't think we need to do that. I think Brissett, just in this phenomenal matchup, we just play him, or we could maybe try to get cute with some of the lower price plays. But I honestly think you just go with Brissett. Hopefully he has a good game. Hopefully he doesn't let us down. Maybe you get to a little bit of Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow. They've been playing well recently. I don't hate that. Baker Mayfield's a little bit appealing as well with, all of his top pass catchers being back. But I actually like Bucky Irving a little bit more. I think Bucky Irving's at a very cheap price tag and in a good matchup. Should play about 60% of the snaps, and I think he has looked good. I actually like him a decent amount in his price tag. This has kind of been the lineup path I've been going. That way I can pay up for some of the receiver studs that we have in the slate, which is really just simply put JSN and Jamar Chase. And then one call out I want to make is Chris Olave is currently questionable. I think he's going to be good to go. If he were to sit, Kevin Austin and Mason Tipton would be extremely cheap. Maybe we could look at them, but really if they end up sitting, I think we could get away with playing Jawan Johnson, but also Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, I like get into the most. He's kind of my core play because he was basically used as their RB1 in that last game, guys. Not only did he end up throwing the football, right? He had one pass completion for a touchdown, but he had 12 carries, and he also had 6 targets in that game. So he had 19 total opportunities in that game. We know he can get some short yardage work as well. He becomes very appealing. Also worth calling out, Tyler Shuck at his price tag, I do like as well. To me, it's been choosing between Shuck and Brissett. With Chris Olave being questionable, I am a little bit worried about Shuck there. Assuming Chris Olave is good to go, that we would just be fine then ending up getting to Tyler Shuck. So those are kind of my top quarterback plays, guys. Brissett, Shuck, could get to Burrow or Trevor Lawrence, and that's really about it. Running back wise, we are getting some interesting spots, I will say, for some of the values. I just don't think we need to get cute with it. I think we can get to James Cook, we can get to Devon H, and we can get to Barkley and Chase Brown and Travis Etienne. They're all pretty solid plays as well. But I really like the values right now. Stevenson, Tracy, and then Bucky Irving. And then again, that allows us to pay up for JSN, Jamar Chase. And then I like Josh Downs as a decent kind of value pump play. Now, we could mess around with a lot of players that we're getting soft pricing tags on. I don't mind that, but I think for like a first look build or kind of last look build for you guys, I think this ends up being a build that allows us to put our best foot forward right now. So that's what I want to be doing. And then DST wise, if we do have $300 left over, I guess we can pay up for like maybe Giants defense, who again has been better recently. I don't hate that. If Chris Olave's out, Titans DST would be a little bit more appealing. But yeah, for now, I guess I'll just go Giants, and that kind of correlates with Tracy. Fingers are crossed that ends up working out. And then real quickly, I do just want to talk about some leverage spots via the ownerships, guys. So Joe Burrow is coming in as the highest owned quarterback. I get it. 7-point favorites. I kind of like into Chase Brown more than him. It does make sense. Trevor Lawrence, again, he has looked pretty good recently, and so I get why people are getting to him. But I would kind of flip it. I would rather get to Brissett, Shuck, then probably Trevor Lawrence, then probably Joe Burrow, then Drake May. And even Baker. I would agree, though, these are just the plays that we're pulling from. And so maybe just in general, you just bump up your exposures to all of them a little bit. I kind of like being double the field on Brissett and also Shuck there. And maybe we just eat the chalk and be even weight with Burrow and Trevor Lawrence there. And so from there, we look at the running backs that are going to be the highest owned on the slate, guys. Ashton Genty, this has to be wrong to me. I don't get it. I would assume it's maybe people thinking that, 6 points receiving the football. That is appealing. And then you tack on a lot of rush yards. Sure, that is appealing. He is projected to be the best value as well. Okay, I get that all. But Geno Smith has been terrible. Brock Bowers is out. The Giants should just be selling out to stop the run. And if they do, it is tough for me to see Genty going off. Now, I don't hate Genty. I think he does make sense in a cash play. And maybe if we go back to this lineup, maybe we end up getting to Bucky or Genty instead of Bucky Irvin if this is going to be like a cash build. I think that does make sense. But that does call out, I think, where we are gaining a lot of the value here. Kenneth Gainwell still popping up. Tracy's getting some chalk. But again, ownership-wise, we're not seeing Stevenson get all that much. I would imagine this would double if Henderson is ruled out. Bucky Irvin getting some ownership. Not terrible, though. But it is somewhat spread out. And then receiver-wise, yes, people are just loading up on Chase as they should and JSN as they should. I'm a little bit surprised by Jalen Waddle. I would rather get to Waller, even Greg Dulcich. People are really liking Kyle Williams. And I will say, value-wise, I don't hate that. I would rather get to Josh Downs. This does make sense, though. With all the New England Patriots receivers being banged up, Mac Hollins, Demario Douglas, and also Keyshawn Boutte, yeah, it makes sense why Kyle Williams and also Diggs are gaining a lot of ownership. I agree with that. I like them both. They're more shoulder strike plays to me, kind of given the lineup construction that I'm going with. But if you're paying up for Devon Achane, or if you're paying up for James Cook, then yeah, you probably do want to get to one of these two because they are priced a little bit cheaply. Or if you didn't want to play Josh Downs, you could obviously get to Diggs instead, maybe pay up elsewhere. Or if you guys didn't like Taysom Hill, then obviously, yeah, you could just be on someone else then. And then we look at the ownerships here for tight end. I'm a little bit surprised by Taysom Hill, although the projections have come down on him as the week has progressed, which I find interesting. Again, maybe it was a little bit of a do right thing by the Saints organization by getting him involved, but also it makes sense why he got the workload that he did. And so I don't necessarily know what to do with him, although I will say 2.7, I don't really care. It's the correct play. Again, I do like Elijah Higgins as a very good leverage play. That honestly feels like, you guys all remember the Woody Marks week where I'm like, how the heck is this clear and obvious like core play for us? Like 5% owned or less. It was like 4.2 that week. That kind of feels like Higgins, although we don't know what the snaps are going to be for him. Okay. Whereas Woody Marks, we had a pretty good feeling. We knew what was going to happen. With Higgins, it is an educated guess. And so, guys, let's actually go ahead and see now what the lineup builders telling us are the top builds. And I actually think we could get away with doing 2 tight end slates. I didn't even mention Michael Mayer, who is the minimum price as well. Like the DraftKings pricer was just lazy. Higgins, Mayer, and also Taysom Hill, all extremely cheap. It does make a lot of sense to do 2 tight end slates. Tyler Warren with Trey McBride, it's a unique stack, but I don't mind it. Juwan Johnson got 9 targets last week. He's in for a decent matchup. He should get a lot of work as well, especially if Chris Olave's out. That's a great stacking opportunity. This is getting to a lot of Jacoby Myers with Trevor Lawrence. I don't hate that. I think that's logical. And we're just getting very high floor builds this week. Top ownership build that you can be on. Let's take a peek. Oh my goodness, 200%. Trey McBride, Michael Mayer, Trey Tucker. I don't hate that, guys. I will say like Jack Best, I actually don't mind as a punt value play as well. With Brock Bowers being out, I would rather go with probably Kyle Williams, honestly, or just try to get up to Josh Downs here. And actually, I switched to Kyle Williams here. That would allow us to pay up better DST-wise if we wanted to do that. But yeah, I also don't mind that lineup. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel as well. If you guys would like access to that 9to5 Sports DraftKings cheat sheet or the NFL DFS lineup optimizer, well, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to all the tools for a low monthly cost on the website for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Appreciate you guys being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.